Today I'm going to show you how to make some abstract watercolor artworks. And so first what I'm doing is I'm marking off 1/2 inch marks from the edges because I want to make a 1/2 inch border all the way around so that it can have like that nice, clean, finished edge and finished look. And so then I'm just going to connect the lines and make sure that it's super straight. And then once I have all of the lines, I'm going to hydrate all of my watercolors by just dropping some water onto each of the colors. And you are going to choose a color family. I am choosing rainbow colors, but you should choose a color family and make sure that the colors are an actual color family and that they look good together. So as you can see, I let the colors mix on my brush and it looked kind of cool and I liked it because the blue and the kind of magenta-y color together make purple. And I was like, hey, you know what? The pink and the yellow look good together, blue and yellow look good together. Why don't we mix them? But if you notice, when they all kind of mixed, it looks a little bit brown. And so you need to make sure that if you don't want your painting to look muddy, you are choosing colors that are analogous colors or colors that are next to each other on the color wheel so that when they mix, because they will mix if you are putting them close to each other, they will not get muddy. So I also made a little bit of a mistake at the bottom where it dripped and I wasn't able to clean it off in time and it stained that bottom corner. And so I was using the blow dryer and I was able to kind of like make some marks where it like that where the water just like shoots down and kind of goes where it wants. But as you can see, it kind of went outside the border. And the colors were muddied. So I was like, okay, I'm going to try this again and making those 1/2 inch marks again, making a border. And I made lighter lines because I think that the lines that I made in the last one were a little bit too dark. So now I'm going to still use rainbow colors, but I am choosing analogous colors to be mixed together or colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. So that when they mix together, they will not get muddied and will not look like I made a mistake. I'm going to make this look like I did this on purpose. I knew what I was doing and I know exactly how I want it to look. So just please make sure that you are choosing analogous colors or colors that are next to each other on the color wheel when you are painting colors next to each other. Because as you can see, I used all the same colors. I just did them in different orders so that they're not mixing and turning brown. So this one is going to be a little bit different and a little bit looser. And so I'm just doing these like squiggle marks and I'm going in rainbow order again. And I am just going to be making these squiggle marks and making them bigger. But I'm trying to stay in the borders so that it again has that like nice, clean, finished edge. And I am making sure that I'm cleaning my brushes, cleaning my paint palette. So if any of the colors mix, I am cleaning that out. The lighter colors tend to get muddied a lot easier than the darker colors. So then after I have this, then I'm decided that I wanted to kind of make it look a little bit more interesting and add a little bit more contrast. So I am taking colors, again, those analogous colors, those colors that are next to each other on the color wheel, and I am overlapping it with the darker color on top of the color that was already there. So this is what I have, and when I am done with these, I'm going to let them dry. They're all dry now, so I'm going to go around and I'm going to erase the lines. And as you can see, this one is erasing really, really nicely because I drew those lines very light. Now this one, Again, I made a lot of mistakes on this one so that I could show you how to do it and what not to do. But on this one, I made the lines too dark, and so they're not erasing fully. And the lines, as you can see right here, like on the corner, that line won't erase because it's like underneath the watercolor, and that line right there. And look, I'm trying to show you, I'm erasing. Didn't erase, it's still there. So please be careful to keep your watercolor in the lines and not overlap the lines. You really want to have that clean white border. And you could use tape, like masking tape as well, but that could sometimes damage your paper. So then now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these paint pens and a Sharpie, and I'm going to kind of do Zentangle vibes where I'm just kind of doodling, just doing patterns, and I'm just kind of going with the flow, going with whatever feels right. And so every little section could be the same if you want it to, or every little section can be a little bit different. But here I'm just adding these patterns, and I'm doing it in the black marker in between all of the colored lines that were painted. And so I decide like, oh, I'm going to draw these lines, kind of be stripes. Then I'm like, that's a little boring. So then I added 3 dots in between every other one. And I was like, okay, that's a little bit more interesting. And the more that you doodle, the more interesting and visually appealing this will be. So like, instead of just leaving a squiggle, I am going in and I'm adding things in between them. And same with all of these different patterns. I am just trying to do more than one thing in each little area. So I'm going back and I'm adding more, and I really loved the squiggles, so that's why I did the squiggles a bunch. But whatever patterns speak to you, do it, as long as they are, you know, appropriate, and as long as they flow, and as long as you feel good about it. So then I'm going to take the paint pens, and basically what I decided that I'm going to do is every colored stripe, I am going to use that color paint pen under it, or to the left of it. And so I'm filling in each of the patterns with these paint pens, but I am not filling in the whole thing. I am leaving some white space, and I feel like this adds more interest and it makes it more visually appealing, and it really made it pop more. And I was not going to add the color in between at first, but I'm really glad that I did. And I'm glad that I'm doing something that's abstract, where there's no right way, there's no wrong way to do it. And I'm glad that I kind of experimented, and I think that I really like this one actually. And I wasn't sure if I was going to. So make sure you experiment and try new things, try different supplies, techniques, and make sure you sign your work. So for this one, I knew that I wanted it to be a little bit more like loose than the other one. But then I was like, man, I don't know. And so I just started with kind of outlining everything in the black Sharpie. And then I went with all of the colors that were in the painting, and I kind of just added different designs on top of the colors that were similar, or near the colors that were similar. And I was like, hey, these kind of look like bubbles. Let's make these look like bubbles a little bit. And I kind of enjoyed just going with the flow. There's no right way, there's no wrong way, but please do keep in mind that it looks best when you are working with a color family. You want to make sure that you have a specific set of colors that look good together. And if you are going to do rainbow, then you need to make sure that you are keeping with the analogous colors. So not mixing colors that are going to turn brown and muddy, unless that is what you're going for. And usually people can tell if it's on purpose or if it's an accident, even if they're not trained in art. Make sure to sign your work, and here we go. That's the finished pieces. Be creative and have fun.